possible for a Muslim leader to join a kuffar-led global coalition against the Khawarij? The question claims that it's a Muslim leader, and it claims it's the Khawarij, because they didn't say it's allegedly the Khawarij or allegedly a Muslim leader. So the question claims or makes the assumption that those being fought are Khawarij. And it also makes the assumption that it's allegedly Muslim leaders who are doing this. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, as the question suggests, and we assume as a hypothetical concession, and we're doing that to make this matter very simple and clear. In Arabic, it's called at-taslim al-jadali. Let's assume that the tawaghit under the kuffar-led global coalition are actually fighting real Khawarij. This is called argumentative admission. It's when you temporarily accept what your opponent is saying, not because it's true, but in order to refute it and show how it's wrong. And it's a method used in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ إِن كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَالِصَةً مِّن دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. The Yahud claim that the Akhirah is exclusively for them. It's only for them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the messenger to tell them, if it's actually true what you allege, that the Akhirah with Allah is only for you, then wish for death. You temporarily concede to the opponent's claim, not as an acknowledgement of its truth, but as a means to demonstrate its falsehood and to refute it. A similar example is in Surah Al-Zukhruf. قُلْ إِن كَانَ لِلرَّحْمَنِ وَلَدٌ فَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْعَابِدِينَ. And there's other examples. So let's assume two things. The one asking the question made it very easy. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the people they call Khawarij are indeed Khawarij, or Bugha, or Fussaq. Let's also assume that the one joining the kuffar-led coalition is not a taghut. Let's assume that he's considered Muslim, a Muslim leader. With that breakdown, let me tell you, this matter is so clear that there's not a single righteous alim of the ummah from the past who ever permitted fighting the Khawarij or Ahl al-Baghi, the rebellious Muslims. No one permitted fighting them under the banner or leadership of the kuffar, as is the case today, nor even under their symbols or slogans or beliefs. That's how clear this issue is. Ibn Qudama in Al-Mughni said, وَلَا يَسْتَعِينُ عَلَى قِتَالِهِمْ بِالْكُفَّارِ بِحَالٍ. One cannot seek the help of the kuffar in fighting them under any circumstances. Al-Shafi'i, in his book Al-Umm, said something similar. Al-Nawawi, Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned something very similar. Al-Mawardi in Al-Hawi Al-Kabir mentioned something similar to that. The verses are clear. وَلَن يَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ سَبِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never grant the kuffar a way over the believers. The word sabila is in the negative form, which conveys generality. Anyone who seeks to make an exception would be required to bring evidence for that exception, and there's no evidence for an exception on this matter pertaining to using the kuffar in order to fight the khawarij or bugha. Al-Qarafi in al-Dhakhira goes beyond that to say that if the bugha in the khawarij fight the righteous ones, the good people, a righteous leader, a legitimate leader, if the bugha and the khawarij fight that righteous, legitimate leader and force him and those righteous people into the land of harb, the land of the kuffar, he said it's not permissible to fight alongside the kuffar against the bugha and the khawarij. Even in that situation, even if that country offers to help those Muslims and say, you know what, we can get those khawarij out of here. We can get those bugha out of here. We'll help you. He said it's not even permissible under that circumstance. If they invoke maslaha to permit such kufr, I already explained how maslaha is not a valid excuse to commit kufr. If they use Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, I have an entire book refuting every single detail they may attempt to use from it. Some will desperately cling to exceptional incorrect opinions to mislead, like the opinion of the Ahnaf in this matter. The Ahnaf said it's permissible to use the kuffar to fight the bugha, and this mistaken view comes with very strict stipulations that they put. This opinion was opposed by the ulama, including the Malikiyya, Shafi'i, and Hanabila. الشيخ عبد اللطيف ibn عبد الرحمن ibn Hassan آل الشيخ in مجموعة الرسائل والمسائل النجدية made 3 very important points about this. He said no one permitted using the kuffar to fight the bugha or khawarij except for a shadh opinion. The second point he made, he said it's based solely on faulty qiyas. The third point that he made is that whoever follows such views and relies upon them has pursued the rukhas, and we spoke about those who pursue the rukhas of the ulama. He said whoever follows such opinions and relies upon them, he followed the rukhas of the ulama and he abandoned the established principles that were upheld by the salaf of this ummah. That opinion, as the ulama pointed out, as Sheikh Abdul Latif ibn Abdul Rahman pointed out, and others, is incorrect, even with the strict stipulations they put. Do you know what those stipulations were? السرخسي الحنفي in Al-Mabsut and Al-Kamal ibn al-Humam al-Hanafi in Fath al-Qadir stressed, first of all, that the banner and authority under which one fights the Khawarij must be the banner of Islam. It must be led by Muslims. The Ahnaf stipulated that using some kuffar under the banner and leadership of Muslims to fight the Khawarij must be to honor Islam. Who's fighting those they allege are Khawarij today? To honor Islam. A third stipulation the Ahnaf mentioned is that if the kuffar are to be used, like if they take on a group of Ahl al-Dhimma and they say, come help us fight these bugha, they said that the kuffar that they used must be used like dogs are used. That's not even my wording. That's literally what As-Sarkhasi or As-Sarakhsi, both are correct, that's what he mentioned in Al-Mabsut. Meaning, they're to be used to fight like dogs that merely act at the direction of its owner. With those stipulations, they're still wrong. And it doesn't apply today. Today it's under the leadership of the kuffar, under the banners of kufr, under the beliefs of the kuffar. They join the coalition to honor kufr and uphold systems of kufr. Who are the dogs today? Today the dogs are those who claim to be Muslims from the tawaghit who join the coalition, like Ibn Salman and Ahmed al-Shar and Erdogan and Ibn Zayed and Al-Thani. Those are the dogs serving the interests of the kuffar. They're the ones enforcing their agendas. They're the ones imprisoning Muslims when the kuffar request them to do that. They're the ones surrendering Muslims to kuffar. They're the ones doing everything precisely as the kuffar want them to do. With all those stipulations, the opinion is still wrong. The opinion of the Ahnaf is still wrong. They use qiyas and they use a rationale. They use qiyas on dogs and they use the rationale of using kuffar to honor Muslims. They said li'azaz ad-din. Their rationale is that the kuffar, like for example from Ahl al-Dhimma, they bring a group of 100 or 10 or 20 from Ahl al-Dhimma and they use them under their rule to fight the Bugha and the Khawarij. They said it's to uphold and strengthen the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Li'azaz ad-din, they said. The ulama responded to that and they said the honor and strength of Islam can be achieved without seeking help from the kuffar. They said that seeking help from the kuffar is in fact a humiliation for Muslims. They even said that we should not allow the kuffar to humiliate the Bugha. Meaning, it's not acceptable for us to permit the kuffar to humiliate actual Khawarij and actual Bugha. Compare this to the attitude of the Murji'ah and their leaders who rejoice at the suffering and harm that Muslims endure at the hands of the kuffar, or the ones that tell their congregation to report Muslims to the kuffar so that they can be harmed. The Ahnaf also use qiyas. They said that seeking the help of the kuffar against the Khawarij is like seeking the help of dogs. That's flawed qiyas. Because a dog is an animal with no intention of its own. The dog acts at the direction of its owner. The kuffar harbor malicious intentions and pursue harmful purposes of their own. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about that in many verses. لا يرقبون في مؤمن إلا ولا ذمة. This stands as yet another nullifier added to the many nullifiers of the tawaghit in our time.